Hey guys, today I thought I'd do a walkthrough video of the Moog Sub 37. So it was probably about 6 months ago. Me and my wife were in the States. We're at Sweetwater. We're trying out a bunch of keyboards, and my wife fell in love with this thing, the Moog Sub 37. We tried a bunch of other keyboards, but she really liked this, and obviously I did as well. You can't argue with your wife when she's keen to buy a piece of analog gear. So yeah, hence what you see in front of you. So I thought with this video I'll just walk through all the different sections, show you just some different creative ways that you could use it, and yeah, so we'll start from there. So this section here is the kind of the bank selection, the program selection area. So I know for a lot of people analog gear can be a bit daunting. There's all these buttons, there's all these knobs. It's kind of like, well, how do I use it? If you wanted to, you could get away with just using this section here, just to select the sounds just like you would on any other keyboard or any other piece of software, and maybe the section over here because it's a volume. But you could essentially just get away with just using this section and the volume section. All these other buttons and knobs and everything, they're actually built into most keyboards and to most software, but they're just hidden away, so you don't actually see them. The great thing about Moog keyboards and analog gear like this is it's all right in front of you, so you can manipulate the sound in real time. You've got full access to all the parameters, as you see right there. Yes, it can be a little bit daunting, but you don't have to use it. But when you start to get it and use it and get familiar with it, it's actually really nice to have all those controls at your fingertips. So that's that section. I forgot to mention that the Moog Sub 37 is essentially, it's a mono keyboard. It's not full polyphony. You can play two notes at any one time with specific patches, but Moog have kind of been an industry standard for bass sounds, and as you probably know, you don't want your bass sounds to be stereo, hence why it's a mono keyboard. So yeah, so that's that section. Moving on, this is the arpeggiator section. So that allows you to do rhythmic arpeggiator type settings, and there's a bunch of cool presets in there with that. The next section is the legato section, or note transition section. So it determines how fast, or if you want to glide between notes, or if you just want it just on off between notes. The next two sections are your modulation LFO sections. Then we get into our oscillators. This is what creates the sound. So you've got two oscillators here, and you can go anywhere from all the way anti-clockwise is a sine wave, all the way through to a square wave, and everything in between. So it goes through your sawtooth waves and everything on your way to your square. And you got two of those that you can mix in. You can choose the octave, all that kind of stuff. Then we move on to your mixer section. Basically that's just mixing in the two oscillators, the noise. It's got a noise generator as well. You can actually feed back some of the tones back into itself and have it kind of distorting and that kind of thing. So that's what happens at the bottom section. It also allows you to input an external instrument. So if you wanted to, you could take whatever keyboard patches you normally use and actually take a jack and put it into the side and have it run through all this analog circuitry, through the nice drive and low pass filter and everything, and process it through this. So it's kind of like you've got a low pass filter, a Moogerfooger low pass filter built into this, that you can plug any mono instrument in and process that. So that's the mixing that section into the rest of the keyboard as well. So I really like that. A lot of analog gear doesn't do that. Then the next section is your low pass filter with your resonance, and you've got your drive function here, so you can add really nice analog overdrive to it. And then the final section, we get into our attack, decay, sustain, release, envelopes, and amp settings. And like I said, all of these are kind of in your software and in your keyboards that you might be using. They're just kind of hidden away, and you don't have access like you do to them as freely with this kind of keyboard. And like I said before, that's your volume section. So you've got a headphone in, you've got your main output volume, you've got your modulation wheels and pitch, just like most keyboards have as well. But the really cool thing about this keyboard is it's completely MIDI controllable. So you can just connect this via USB to your computer, to your MIDI keyboard, and you can either do it two ways. You can use this to control your keyboard or control your computer and soft synths, or you can get your computer to control this, because all these buttons and knobs are MIDI assignable, and they all have MIDI information being sent when you move them. So you can, like for example, the cutoff frequency knob, you could assign that to something inside your software instrument, and you could actually have it controlling the cutoff frequency on a software patch. And in reverse, you could open up Logic or Pro Tools or whatever, program something up in MIDI form with all your CC controls, and then play it back all quantized, and this will follow whatever you've controlled it to do inside your DAW. So it's really compatible. I love how Moog have kind of come up to the 21st century and made it all MIDI compatible. So it's not just a nice warm analog synth. It's actually, you can program it, you can connect it to your computer, you can, yeah, so it's amazing how you can do all that. So we've used this keyboard quite a lot. I know Ben Tenney used it on the Empires album, the Hillsong United Empires album. He used it on Touch the Sky. For the main lead line in Touch the Sky. We've just recently recorded a new Hillsong Worship album, and we actually used one of these to double all the bass parts. What we did was we just chose a basic sine wave and we doubled all the bass parts, and then we gave our mix engineer a couple of alternative versions, a more harmonically rich version and a more fuzzy kind of version as well. So you've heard that sound. Another cool function is even the arpeggiator sends MIDI information. So what I've done is I've hooked it up to my computer, and let's just go down to a patch and get it to send some MIDI. What should I choose? Here we go. Now I'm just going to mute the Moog input. Whoopsie. So you're just hearing main stage play. Okay, now I'm going to choose a patch that actually has an arpeggiator on it, because that might be helpful. Okay, bank 1. Okay, let's try this one. So as you can hear, the arpeggiator from the Moog is actually triggering the computer and triggering the patch and playing that arpeggiated pattern. What you could also do, if I unmute the Moog input, I could have both of them playing at the same time. So I could have the Moog and the software synth playing the exact same arpeggiator line in tandem. So as you heard there, you're hearing the Moog and the software synth playing the exact same thing. And I was mucking around with the resonance and the low pass filter. I think it added a bit of drive to that as well, just to make it a bit more beefy. So it's really compatible. You can just be as crazy as you wanted to. If I wanted to, I could take the software synth that was being processed by it, I could insert it into the input on here and have those filters and everything affecting that as well. But for now, I've just left them independent. I'll show you how you can use this 100% as a MIDI controller as well. So I'm just going to mute the Moog. I'm just going to choose just a basic patch from here. And now I can basically just use this as a MIDI controller if I wanted to. So as you heard, I was just using it as a MIDI controller. The modulation was controlling the cutoff frequency on that pad patch. You can change the octave that you're using. I know it's only a small keyboard, but the great thing is you've got just real-time control over what octave you're using. And like I said before, all of these knobs and buttons can actually control anything inside your DAW. So they're all sending MIDI CC values, and they can be assigned to whatever you want inside your DAW. I might just go through some of the basic presets. Let's go bank 1, it's already there. And let's just choose some of these. I'll unmute the Moog input and put this up to here so it doesn't play anything from the software. Cool, there's just a few selections from the first bank, but as you can hear, a lot of the sounds are really usable. You can probably hear the nice analog overdrive, the filters freaking out when you push them too hard. That's something that software struggles to recreate. And there's so many reviews and so many audio demos of this on the internet already, so I'm not going to go through every single patch. But I just wanted to show you some creative ways that you could use this synth with your software, and yeah, just give you a little bit of my thoughts about it. I love this thing. Even if you're just going to use it as a MIDI controller, it'll be amazing, let alone all the nice analog circuitry, the fact that you can put an external instrument into it and use it as a Moog low pass filter. Yeah, I love this thing. So if you get a chance, check it out. We're using this a whole lot because we love it so much. So cool. Thanks for watching.